The following program may contain strong language and mature content. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome. Wait, this is looking really churchy. Okay, hold on, wait a minute. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Daryl Walter Show. How is everybody doing out there in YouTube land? Shout out to everybody on Instagram, TikTok, everywhere. I am your host, Daryl Walter, and I am excited because each show keeps getting better and better and better. I'm looking forward to today's discussion. Today, we are going to be discussing, can you be delivered from homosexuality? It's at first you're going to roll your eyes and go, oh, Daryl, of course not. But, there's many layers to this. So I'm excited for my guest that's going to be coming on a little later and also just to talk to you about it. All right. So get in here, click like, click share, head on over to YouTube, pyromedianetwork, The Daryl Walter Show. Just type in The Daryl Walter Show and my beautiful face will come up and you will see me. All right. But first, let's talk about what went viral. Okay. Rihanna. She did what needed to be done. She understood the assignment, and her face card never, ever declines. Let me tell you, Rihanna did what needed to be done. And many out there, many of y'all thought her performance was mid, subpar, lackluster. But here's my question. In comparison to who? In comparison to what? See, I know what y'all out there really doing. I'm not going to say it because y'all ain't even bought the tickets for the tour yet. But y'all comparing her. First of all, let me just start right here. We have never known Rihanna to be a performer. I love Rihanna. I'm part of the Navy. And if you've ever seen Rihanna live, Rihanna performs, but she's not going to give you that boom, cat. We just love Rihanna. All right. And let's just say this. Let's go to the next slide. For those of you who called her performance subpar and lackluster, let me just say that more people watched Rihanna's performance than people watched the Super Bowl. Bring up the next picture, Kwame. Oh, no, not that one. Go back. No, not that one. What the percentages. We're still coming together, but we're getting better and better. You didn't get that one, did you? I know it's there. But anyways, Rihanna performance, the one some people call subpar, was watched more than the Super Bowl. All right? So, yeah. And you know who was the star of the halftime star? Now bring up the video. This is who was the star, in my opinion. Bring her up.
Louis 13 and it's all on me. You just for a shot. Come across me if you think that you gon' knock me out the side. Your wife in the backseat of my brand new Florida. Don't act like you forgot. I call a shot. blah, blah, blah. Pay me what you want it. Don't act like you
It's the swag for me. All right, cut. That is Justina Miles, who was tasked with interpreting Rihanna's halftime performance. Let me tell you something. That baby girl, first of all, she's the first deaf female to perform at Super Bowl, so shout out to her. But for y'all calling her performance subpar, just to say whether it was overwhelming or underwhelming, we're all talking about Rihanna's performance. She is currently at the bank. Since her performance increased, right there, go right there. 118 million people watched Rihanna's performance, and 113 people watched the Philadelphia Eagles lose. Which, by the way, shout out to Philadelphia Eagles. We are praying for you because you almost won, and then right at the end, a whole lot of people, including Drake, cashed in and won money, and I'm praying for y'all. Anyways, all this talk about Rihanna, let me just spit out some statistics to y'all real quick, okay? Her music, 211% increase on demand streams, 390% increase in overall digital song sales overall. Her music on Spotify soared to a whopping 640%. And let's go over to her Fenty line. Made $5.6 million. Yep. And then let's go on over to the lingerie. Clothing. What's it called? Is that called Fenty? That's savage. Anyways, $2.6 million. And that's according to Launch Metrics. And all this talk about the halftime show is making me thirsty. So let's do this. Let's pay some bills. Let's take a break. And when we come back, we are going to talk about the topic, can you be delivered from homosexuality, with my special guest, Gail Hines. We'll be back after we take a break. There she goes. She's so cute. How y'all doing out there? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Daryl Walter Show. I am your host, Daryl Walter, and I am so excited today just because I'm looking forward to talking with my guest today and talking about this subject. A lot of people, and Gail will just be right up, but a lot of people roll their eyes at this subject when I say, can somebody be delivered from homosexuality? They're like, Daryl, what kind of question is that? But I'd like to have a conversation about it. First, I want to bring on my guest, Gail Hines. She has her degree in psychology. Welcome, Gail. Gail, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I am amazing. Hello, everybody.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming on the show, first of all. I really appreciate you. Now, you and Dar, we go back, and I want to say I love you. I appreciate you. And also, I want to publicly say how proud I am of you and how much you've grown and evolved. You're doing a lot of work in your field. Now, you and Dar, we have a lot of discussions, off air because we are friends. And you are someone, you grew up in church, right? And you are a preacher's kid also.
A minister's kid.
A minister's kid, and you are somebody who identifies as part of the LGBTQIA plus community.
Definitely.
So, and you have your degree in psychology.
Yes.
So I feel like you will have a lot of insight into this conversation. Can you be delivered from homosexuality? So, just a brief background. The other day, I saw this video. Right, this guy, he's a fashion brand owner. It's called Suwu. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. But basically, he got online and he denounced his homosexuality. Now, when I first saw the video, even though I've seen other videos and I've seen other posts, about people being delivered, shout out to Mother Caldwell out there, Andrew Caldwell, no shade, laugh out loud. But he's the one that was famous for, denouncing his homosexuality in the Church of God in Christ, right? But there was something about this video that caused me to pause. And I don't know if it was the way he was talking. I don't know if it was something in his eyes, but there was something different about this video that caused me to pause and really ponder the question, can you be delivered from homosexuality? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to see the video and I would like to know your thoughts and I'd like to have this discussion. So Kwame, if we could play the video, let's take a look. Give me 1 second. So the guy, like, while we're getting the video ready, right? Basically, he got online and he just said he was no longer going to be having sex with men, that he only saw them as his brothers, and that he knew that having sex with another man was wrong for him, and that he was only going to see them as his brothers. So I talked to someone online and they said, well, he's declaring celibacy, but he's not necessarily denouncing his homosexuality. So before we get the video ready, I want to ask you the question, is there such thing as deliverance, and what is deliverance?
Me personally, on my personal journey, I no longer believe in deliverance. I think what the church has been calling deliverance has actually been suppression.
Okay.
And so instead of dealing with the stuff that you're experiencing, we have been teaching people how to suppress their feelings, their emotions, their sexuality. So I don't per se say that there is deliverance, because what are you being delivered from?
Mm-hmm.
What does No one can ever answer the question of what am I being delivered from? What does deliverance look like? Right? They say, they have people oil you up like you're a piece of chicken. You go shana na 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 a lot of times. You may throw up.
Right.
But am I really being delivered, or do I go back home and have to deal with the same thing that I've been dealing with every day?
Okay,
Like,
so let's do this. Let's take a look at the video, and
mm-hmm.
it's about 60 seconds, and let's discuss.
Okay.
All right, hit it.
So this is really a message for myself. This is my personal Instagram, which I am going to start being more active on here, even though I say that every time. But I just wanted to say, as of today, I've chosen to not continue to live my life in sin, and I will not engage or try to elude all negative or alluring thoughts about any male. I know that any male living is my brother, that we shall not fornicate together, that we should not lay with each other as a woman will lay with a man. But I do recognize my journey, and I recognize me and my understanding with why I had to go through what I had to go through, and why I had to choose that battle as my battle, because we have many different.
what are your thoughts on it?
That's a lot to unpack. And I would want to unpack that from the end to the beginning, right? Because he talked about it being his battle, right?
Mm-hmm.
He talked about he understands why he had to have that fight. So I want to know, what do you think it why you had to have that fight and why it was your battle? Because I need to know how you got there to say, I will no longer have any more thoughts or feelings or go and fornicate um the other male with another male. Because when it's in you, it's just in you, right? It's one thing for you to be doing it for the trend, right? It's another thing when it's in you. I knew it was in me and not a trend. I've been attracted to women since I've been 8. I went through the process of crying to God and saying, "Oh God, I don't want to sleep with another woman. I don't want to." And I was so depressed. I was so unfulfilled. Like, it impacted my mental health.
So I want to ask you, as I did my research on this, I ran across a motivational speaker and minister. Her name's Jackie Perry Hill, who is a woman who tells her story of being a lesbian or having feelings for women since she was 5 years old, and
Hmm.
she went through her journey, and now she is married with 4 kids, right?
Hmm.
I feel like this discussion is really more towards the Black church or more in terms of religion and spirituality. So, is it easier for women than men to navigate their sexuality through church?
No, I don't think it's easier on whether or not you have accepted yourself in that, in either you being gay, bisexual, trans, like, have you accepted yourself? Because if you continue to do your research on Jackie Perry, there is a video on YouTube where she talks about she still struggles with wanting to sleep with a woman. She still struggles with that connection. So it goes back to my first statement. Are you truly delivered, or are you just suppressing the feeling because you want to be accepted into this organization, into this community of people? Do you believe what they're telling you? Because let's be real, if we're going to talk about this conversation and we're going to look at the scriptures that they're using, Sodom and Gomorrah, there's a scripture in Leviticus, I think it is, or Exodus, where it talks about not laying, another man should not lay with another man. That was not talking about being gay. That was talking about men laying with children.
Right.
If
So here's what I want to interject and throw with you as we have this conversation is
Sure.
that you're absolutely right with the scripture, but this conversation for me, I'm bringing it up because in spite of everything that we know, in spite of how much we've dissected the Bible, still in
Mm-hmm.
2023, I know people who have decided that I would rather struggle and suppress, or I feel that being heterosexual or being married to the opposite sex, and I'm just saying this, I'm not saying whether I agree or not, but that being married to the opposite sex and being in this relationship is what's best for me and is better, even in 2023. Like, why do you think that is? I've come across people on my social media, and even though we can all agree, okay, conversion therapy is not right.
Mm-hmm.
Can people be delivered? In theory, no, and God loves us all. But I still, in my social media, in my inboxes, and honestly, Gil, like you asked me, you know, um, were you the only person on? I had other people who aren't willing to have the conversation publicly.
Mhm.
You know, they're not comfortable. You know, like I have a friend who was with a man who's now married to a woman, and he's like, bro, having that conversation completely, you know, mentally drains me. But I guess my bigger question, why in 2023 is there still this discussion or this um, experience of people choosing I don't even want to say choosing, I don't know what to call it, but regardless of if they're attracted to the same sex, they choose the marriage and the hetero, you know, they they suppress the feelings, as you said.
Because most times everybody wants to be accepted into some type of community, right? And so if I go to we heard growing up, the Black church was the center of our community, right? And so when you have been conditioned to believe that the thing that you feel is wrong, and you don't have a space where you can openly have a discussion about it, your voice have been taken away from you when it comes to that particular thing.
Mhm.
um it's better to just go head on with, the norm or everybody else's norm, than be able to stand in your authentic truth, because you're going to be ostracized for saying I love Jesus and I'm gay. You're going to be ridiculed. You're going to be told that you're going to hell. Some people get excommunicated from the church, and that takes a toll on you. So some people rather struggle in silence just to be with a community of people that if they found out anything different, that they would not have that community anymore. I hope that made sense.
No, it makes lots of sense. I think I asked it before, but I just, you know, if I can ask in a better way, you know, how does one embrace their sexuality, right, when they're immersed and in a culture that preaches against it or supports the opposite?
You got to do some real soul searching for yourself. You got to remove yourself from that particular environment and do some real soul searching for yourself.
Now, what if they don't want to remove themselves from the environment?
You can't get better in the same place that you're hurting.
You don't think it's possible for someone to embrace their sexuality and still be immersed in a culture that doesn't support it?
It's difficult. It's a difficult task.
Because there's a lot. I mean, and I think the reality is that there is a lot of people that are in the culture. And again, this is just what I'm seeing. This is the reason I brought up the topic,
Mhm.
is that I'm still seeing people who are going through the cycle of what I when I was younger, when I was a young wee lad in church. Kwame, don't laugh at me, but you know, I've been to the altar a couple of times and I was delivered. Right, this is when I was younger, and I didn't know, and I've since then, you know, I don't gone through a journey with my sexuality, and you know my journey and church and spirituality, and now I'm just in a really kind of cool, evolved place. But
Mhm.
now I see other people kind of still in that. I had a conversation with one friend because I know a couple of ministers who are gay, but they're not gay. You know, they have what she told me is they have sacrificed their life for the sake of the call.
And that's what's being taught. So that's another layer to that, right? That we are taught that you have to sacrifice self, right? In order to fulfill the call on your life. And so it's another way of suppression. It's another way of controlling your life. So there is a control factor there that the church does not want to talk about. We try to control the people's lives. and you can't live this way. God's not going to bless you if you are not sleeping with the opposite sex from you. But we don't call out when you're sleeping with a whole bunch of um people, even though it's the same, it's the different sex, or you are into sleeping with children. Like, there are certain things that we don't call out because that's more acceptable than
Right.
if you sleep um with the same sex, because they see the word abomination, right? And they was like, oh, they get up in arms. People don't, get the definition of words or look at the etymology of a word before you be like, oh my gosh, about that. So you have the control factor, you have the suppression. Um, it's also dangerous sometimes for some people to come out and say, this is who I am. um, and if you don't have practice in living your authentic self and having your voice, that's very hard. So there is layers to this. It's not one thing that we can say about why people choose to continue to live the heteronormative life. Sometimes it's just a little bit safer for them to
Mhm.
live that life versus coming out and losing your entire family, losing your entire church, and being ostracized, and all the things you have to put up with being um, identifying with the LGBTQ plus community.
Okay, so here's what I want. I want to take a break in a little bit, but I just want to tell this story, like why I brought up this subject, kind of
Hmm.
like what I've been working on. Like for me, with this platform, with this show, obviously my goal is to enlighten, encourage, and empower. Right.
Hmm.
I have one of my trainers when I go to the gym. She was like, I just love your content. I'm gonna have my son, start watching your content. And she's on this side. I'll go there. And she
Hmm.
was like, my son came out when he was 12. And I was like, wow. And she was so accepting and happy about it. And I think, like, when I asked the question about deliverance and homosexuality, I think it's more so the thought of those younger people, especially coming up in church, right, who are in a culture where who they are is not celebrated all the time. And so we're going to take a commercial. When we come back, I just want to talk to you about solutions, you know, in regards to like that, even that young man and breaking down. I keep calling him young man. What's the baby's name? Justin. Uh, Brandon. No, no, what's his name? Brand. Yeah. Seward. I got to go back. Anyways, the baby that the fashion brand owner. To me, even though he's a grown person, I just see him as like somebody still in the struggle. Obviously, even though he's been, out there, and a lot of people look at it and go like, "Oh, girl, like you just need to get over that." But I feel like there's some deeper stuff, and we can like go over some solutions. So I'm rambling. Let's take a break, and we'll be back. Welcome back, y'all, to the Daryl Walter Show. We are almost to the last part of our show. Listen, make sure y'all go follow me on TikTok. at I am Daryl Walter. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram so you can hear what I got to say about that lady that rebuked Beyonce. And I probably have some other stuff to say. And Gail, where can everybody follow you at?
They can follow me on TikTok. I'm Gail Hines 7. Follow me on Facebook at Gail Hines. Follow me on Instagram at TheGirl65. But if you really want to know what I'm doing, go hit me on TikTok. Um, I go live often. I have an event coming up next Saturday. So if you really want to know what's going on, go follow me over on TikTok.
All right, listen, let's talk solution. And when I say solution, there are still a lot of LGBTQs, and I feel like especially in the Black community, who are struggling. They're,
Mhm.
even though they found their sexuality, some of them have chosen to stay in church and be in church. But a few weeks ago, I had a guest, Dr. Dante Morrison, on my show, and he charged me with not just preaching to the choir. And I sat with that for a minute, Gail, and I was like, you know what? Maybe my calling and my gifting isn't to preaching to the choir, isn't to preaching to, church folks or in the church. Obviously it's somewhere else. So I'm kind of going on this road and journey. So when we talk about solutions, um, what are the solutions for those broken LGBT people who are still trying to be delivered or in a cycle where they're practicing homosexuality for a week, they hoeing for another week, and then they're back at the altar in this kind of cycle of one would call a delusion, if you will, because you're doing the same thing trying to get a different result.
Yeah, so I actually came across this very recently. As you said, I have my degree in psychology. I am a case manager um, in a high school. So I come across this. One of the things, one of the first things that I say they should do is find a trusted adult to talk to. One that's not going to judge, one that doesn't have any qualms about you, just wants to see the best for you. A lot of times, children who are suffering like that do not have a trusted individual that they can go and share their heart with.
Mhm.
The other solution is the church needs to be educated about sexuality and sex and what it means for someone in the LGBTQ plus community, what their relationships are like, right? Because a lot of times when you hear about the LGBTQ plus community, um, perversion is the next word you hear,
Mhm.
right? And I am not out here being perverted. I am out here loving someone. It's just not the opposite sex, it is the same sex.
Now let me ask you. Okay, let's pause right there when you said perverted or perversion. Was there ever a time where you thought you were perverted, or you thought you what you were doing was
Yeah.
nasty or whatever? And how did you cross over to, what I'm doing is expressing my love?
Um, so yeah, I did have times when I thought that what I was doing was perverted. And then I had found out that if you want me to just be real,
I
I
do
like
want you to
some
be real.
I like some of the perverted stuff that I was into,
Hmm.
but my perverted stuff that I was into, what they would classify as perverted, did not harm anyone else.
Hmm.
I.e., the reason why, shameless plug, I have the School of Kink happening Saturday.
Love.
Um, because I'm teaching people how to practice whatever they're into in a safe way.
Mhm.
That's it. You have to be able to, like, I thought about being perverted, and then I was like, but I like this perversion. Like, let's be real. I like this perversion, and I'm not harming anyone.
I just heard
No
all the
one is
church
getting.
mothers fall out.
I know. I'm probably
No,
being called everything but a child of God right now for that
and you
fire.
shouldn't be, but that's what that's what I'm saying. I think that you shouldn't be. I think part of the solution is, we have like the Martin Luther Kings in the churches, like Dante. I bring him up because he's someone who stayed in the church and really taught his pastor a new way of thinking, or led him into a new way of thinking. But I think there needs to be some Malcolm X's in the church.
Oh,
I think,
and that's who I've been. I'm called the rebel because I have
yeah,
not left the church. Um, and I am.
you
I don't
haven't left the
hide.
church either.
Mm-mm,
Okay, now why haven't you left the church?
for the same reason. That they need to see representation
Okay,
that is authentic and can still honor God and still honor their sexuality and who they are,
yeah,
right? Without having a struggle between the two,
yeah,
right? I love Jesus. I also love who I am as a Black queer woman. Like, you can't stop me from being Black and queer. You
so we
can't
need
stop me
more.
from love Jesus.
So I think part of the solution is seeing more representation, and by representation, like positive out people in the church who's staying in the church.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
people that's just regular people, right? I'm not going in there trying to convert anyone. I'm not going in there flirting with no one or
right.
anything like that. I am there for the service to worship and praise, and participate and get the word, to bring something home, to sow the seeds in my life, to be productive. But I'm also not going to denounce or deny myself of something that God put on the earth, um, that is also supposed to be beautiful to me,
Yeah,
right? When I look at, I don't know how to say it. When I look at my partner or soon to be partner, or the person that I am admiring, I am not looking at them in the eyesight of, oh my gosh, this is nasty. Actually, I was talking to somebody today, and I'm talking to them, and I'm having my gospel music playing, and I'm doing a whole bunch of little things. And at that moment, listening to my good gospel music, having
yes.
conversation with them, I was thankful and grateful to have that person in my life. And I told them that. I was like, I'm grateful to have you around. I'm grateful to have you in my life.
Yeah,
Because love is love. If we really want to talk about and get to the bottom of it, love is love.
yeah. That's
He
it.
never talked about the way you supposed to present love. He didn't say, do it this way or do it that way. He said, I am love. And if I am saying that I serve Jesus Christ or I serve God, and I don't present the love of God to my brothers or sisters, and I constantly condemn them, then I'm not operating in the love of Jesus Christ. So we got a far bigger problem than just whether or not can you be delivered from being gay. We have a problem that we don't know how to love people.
Yeah.
Period.
Okay. That's it. That listen, there's so much we can unpack, and I know we can be here for forever and ever and ever. But I think I just wanted to take off the layer of that conversation, and
Mhm.
hopefully, just kind of drop some nuggets to people who are out there, who are in that struggle of deliverance. Because, and I look, let's not even call it struggle of deliverance. acceptance. Let's call it struggle of acceptance, because there are still people out there in 2023 who are still going to the altar to be delivered, who are choosing to suppress, and my friends, maybe down the road they can come on my show and really talk about their story, and I hope that they'll feel that my platform is a safe space to have a conversation, from different walks of life. But Gail, I just want to thank you so much for coming on my show. I love you very much. I just want to ask if you have any final thoughts.
Yeah, my only final thought is, like, if you don't have anyone to go and talk to about this struggle, get into therapy. I've only said it once on your show today. Get into some good therapy. Find you someone, a trusted adult that you can talk to, that you can explore who you are. So then you can start living out your authentic self. That's my first thing. My second thing is I have an event on the 18th, 8 p.m. Zoom. It's called the School of King. Um, the first event is free. So if you follow me on TikTok, the link is in my bio. There's going to be some special guests. If you're not about that life, don't come. If you
Ooh,
want information, come. It's
when is
let me
that?
preference. It
That's
is.
the
It's a,
18th.
that is the 18th. I'm sorry, bro. You can't come.
Oh, so this is for women only.
Women only.
Oh, that's what you were supposed to say, because you just got me over here. I wanted to be a little kinky. I wanted to learn something, but you know what? That's okay. For all the ladies, everybody seeing this on the replay, it's for the women's only.
Women
Now,
only.
I'm not even going to touch it. Just the 18th. Follow her on TikTok. Now,
The link. The link
and
in my bio. Please register. I have 30 seats are already taken. We're
for
only
women's
accepting
only, women's
for
women's
women
only.
only. And you are going to enjoy it. We have a special guest. We have a special performance. Um, it's
This is
going to
all on
be
the Zoom.
all on the Zoom.
You know what? Anyway, Kwame, we may have to send somebody from the team to do some research about this kink on the 18th. All right, Gil. Thank you very much. I love you very much. And listen, don't be a stranger. I will have you back on down the road, and vice versa. All right.
Sure enough.
Thank you very much. And listen to everybody out there. Um, I did this show. The topic was, can you be delivered from homosexuality? But as we've talked about it, the real conversation is about loving yourself and surrounding yourself with people who really love you and accept you for who you are. But first of all, you got to love yourself and know that, there's truly nothing wrong with you, and there's nothing that you need to be delivered from. And I think that's really the true message in everything. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in on this live and on the replay out there. I will see you next week so we can close out Black History Month. But until then, make sure to mind your business, make sure to stay hydrated, and chandelier throughout the week. All right, I got to go. Bye.